The team I really want to talk about with you, though, are the team they beat in the first game of the season, Arsenal, and their poor start. What for you has gone wrong so far?
Well, I don't know. You could say go wrong. Obviously, you know, seeing United and City and Chelsea starting and getting 2 wins kind of puts a little bit of pressure on Arsenal, and you know, with the lack of activity in the market, what I think a lot of the fans were looking forward to. The signings, what they're supposedly making, everybody hiking prices up, is Mustafi, you know, Perez, what's going on. It just feels a little bit the same-ish. You know, we started the season with, you know, 2 inexperienced centre-halves, unfortunately for them. You know, Liverpool can't take nothing away from them. They played very well, but when it went to 4-1, you can hear it. Everyone was so disgruntled, and it wasn't a nice atmosphere. And at the end of the game, we heard exactly what they thought about it. There's a lot of confusion at Arsenal.
Yeah, and you said there a couple of times, really, that things are just the same and things don't seem to have moved on, and stumbling in the transfer market. And perhaps are there a few players at Arsenal that might benefit from actually moving their careers on? Well,
yeah, you know, I mentioned that as well. I feel sorry for Callum Chambers, because when he came into Arsenal a few years back, you know, he really started pretty well, you know. Actually got into the England squad and done well, and for some reason it's not happened for him. He maybe has to start looking at himself to freshen himself up, because, you know, for me, what I've seen of him, he's a good player. I think he needs to maybe have a word about, see if it's time to maybe move on for himself. How long is he going to have to wait for a chance to get his career going?
Is that Arsene Wenger's job, though, or is that the player's job?
Well, I think that, you know, when you see how ruthless some managers can be, Ferguson and Mourinho, and even we've seen Guardiola come in, and with Joe Hart, you know, when something's got to be done, bang, they do it. And sometimes, you know, as horrible as it is, and you saw the Manchester City fans were magnificent, stand up if you love Joe Hart. I thought that was really touching. It made me feel nice listening to that last night. But that's how ruthless it is, and that's how ruthless you've got to be.
Was he more ruthless before, do you think, Arsene Wenger, when you were there?
Yeah, when I was there, I think that the plan that he had was obviously the players that we saw come through to eventually become the invincibles. You can't hold them back. So there's players, remember, that after 30 years old, he wasn't really too interested in people being there or giving them more than a year contract. He was wanting to move people on because he knew what was coming. And I think that the pool in which he's fishing in now, he hasn't got the resources anymore. Thierry mentioned, you know what I mean, can we attract that player anymore? And that's something we've got to worry about. And something even more we've got to worry about. People like Sanchez and Ozil, we don't want them to get despondent with what we're doing, because I wouldn't like to think what would happen if them two started to get, like, itchy feet in respect of what Arsenal are not achieving.
And Arsene Wenger himself has said that this season the Premier League is like a world championship of managers. I mean, this city alone, Manchester, has 2 of the very greatest in the game. Where does Arsene Wenger rank in that? And do you think that despondency and that level of antipathy from fans is a little bit reflected in the fact that it feels like everybody else is more exciting and there's loads of stuff going on in other clubs?
That's the jealousy I have. There seems to be a lot more excitement in other places than at Arsenal at the moment in respect of the players and what's going on. But in respect of Arsene Wenger and where he sits, I think he can sit in that room with those guys. Obviously, people will say he hasn't won the Champions League, and that's always something that's going to be he's going to be accused of. But at the same time, for what he's done for not only Arsenal but for English football, with the way he changed everything and his methods, I think that he's somebody that, when he does eventually leave Arsenal, and this is why the Arsenal fans have to be careful with how disrespectfully they're treating him at the moment. You know, as frustrating as it is, Gabby, at some stage he's going to have to come back there, and those same fans are going to see him walking in and they're going to go up to him and they're going to say things like, "You were brilliant, we love you," and that's just be a bit more respectful in respect to the abuse that he's getting.
That was ever thus in football, though,
Absolutely,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
OK, thanks, Righty. Well, Arsenal...